and then just keep repeating that instead of going into many various stages of things and stuff. So this to me have had the largest impact. So because you would think in spirituality there would be mysteries, and you would seek someone who had seen or realized the mysteries and they were solved in his or her life. And you would hope to get some of that by either sitting there or what transmission or hearing it or whatever. And so when someone of that stature says there is no greater mystery, it sort of catches your attention, I feel. So there is no greater mystery than this. Nice pause right there. That being the reality ourselves, we seek to gain reality. So this is the fundamental underpinning of the message of non-duality. The message of non-duality is not trying to speed up getting to the goal, but you are what you are actually looking for at this very moment. Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't budge from that. And basically from there on, it's really speaking about mostly about what we're not, with the hopes that we'll finally see what we're not from what we are, instead of looking for what we are from what we're not. Yeah. So this is a simple, and uh, in a weird way, knowing it or not, you may not be standing or something, but you're positioned by the head quite a lot. Not just the physical position, but your position. The basic one is self-centeredness, and then it has other positions or understandings that put you in a posture that may not be the best way to travel through this event. Yeah. And really, a lot of what I feel can happen if you hear satsang is it will translate as a traveling lighter through whatever life has in store for you. And that to me is quite valuable. Yeah. Because we're already been formulated or manufactured or put into a posture we don't know it, which is self-centeredness. So when you're looking through the lens of self-centeredness, everything you see is seen as how it pertains to you. Yeah. So everything that you see is used to refer you to you. Yeah. This is how something that's not there can seem to be there. This constant reinforcing of something. So as if, like if you could see, there was a guy I went to school with, Andy Ford, and he was really good, and he'd have a book like this, and he would put a cartoon on each page. Yeah. And if you looked at it, it was all singular, but if he went like this, it was a whole movie. This is sort of like what the head does. Yes. It takes this idea and it keeps reinforcing it, and then it speeds through it and it looks as if it's true. Yes. But if you see each page, they're frozen. Yeah. Yeah. So this is how the non-duality, when it looks at the movie, this thing, it sees the singular pages, and it sees the frozenness and the mechanicalness of the event. Yeah. And therefore, you finally are not constantly looking from what you're not. You see the activity that implies that. Yeah. And in that view, it's almost, they say it's sort of like your head is in the tiger's mouth. It's sort of a done deal in a way then. Yeah. Something has been revealed. The emperor has been revealed to have no clothes. And every time you see it with a new pair of clothes, set of clothing, you have an understanding the emperor has no clothes. Yeah. So, and someone just sent me something from whatever, a group was using our stuff, and he sent me a link to it. And the idea of the seeking is really what's reinforcing the seeker. Yeah. So this is the beauty of when you stop, you'll see the nakedness of the emperor. The emperor, seen as the seeker, is clothed by the seeking. Yeah. So the act of the seeking is reinforcing the seeker. Yeah. So I'm going to go to another part of Ramana Maharshi because he explains it really well. He says there's a presupposing of a non-existent thing. So the non-existent thing would be a body that's not being animated. You would see it easier then, yes? But when it's animated, we think the body is existing, which it isn't. Yeah? When the existent leaves the body's left behind. Yeah? The body doesn't go with the existence, does it? No. So the body is a non-existent thing, really truly an unanimated thing. Then suddenly there's this event we're calling this, and it's animated. And in this event, there's an end to that animation, but the thing doesn't seem to end. Yeah. The spirit seems to leave, and you're left with a body. Yeah. And then now that body that you were calling Uncle Fred, let's say, for the 50 years you knew him, is very clearly recognized as not Uncle Fred. Yeah. And you don't really want, you would have liked to have Uncle Fred stick around, but you don't want its body to be sticking around. You want to get rid of the body as quickly as possible. Because without Uncle Fred in it, it's starting to really stink. Yeah. So the idea, there's a presupposing, and you know what supposing or assuming means, yeah? You're supposing you're you're supposing something with the hopes of it being a fact, but it may not be. So I assume like the store that I go to is open and I go there and it's closed. And I'm surprised. But when I look at the schedule, it says it's closed that day. Yeah. So my assumption was wrong. I wasn't being misled by the store. I was just assuming something that wasn't true. I assumed that they were open, so I didn't call to see what happened. Same thing with a lot of things. You just assume, like you have this incredible thing you love at the bakery, and you assume it's going to be there, and you should have called up and reserved the piece, yeah? Because when you got there, they were all gone. So this assumption, yeah? Now, in this case, the assumption of the non-existent thing being an existent thing, you know, is presupposed. Yeah. So now, and if there's faith in that which is presupposing it, you don't start from the non-existent thing. You're not seeing the non-existent thing. You're looking from the existent thing. You see? So now the identity is almost set historically in place. And therefore, most people do not believe they're becoming a self. They believe they already are one. Yeah. There's a belief they already are one. Yeah, so that's them. If something could never be made, if it was taken to be historically made, that would hide that little aberration. That yeah, so there can never be a self, but we believe there already is one. Yeah, see, this is the dilemma. Yeah, yeah. In a way, if I see it, it's not a dilemma. If you don't see it, it's the dilemma. Yeah, so. There's a presupposing of a non-existent thing. And then that presupposing of the non-existent thing is that it's an existent thing. So now the existence isn't noticed, it's noticed as a thing. You're missing the importance of the existence, and the head emphasizes the thing. Yeah. So now this existent thing, with the emphasis on the thing, not the existence, wants to get salvation for itself. Yeah. Simple. This is a simple equation. It's going to explain a lot, though. And then the next, if this is the case, and he says this is the case, pretty much, this is how the head works, your spiritual practices or any practices are reinforcing this mistake, the non-existent thing being an existent thing. How can they destroy it? Yeah. So the seeker is seemingly using seeking to find something, but it's actually the seeking is being used to just reinforce the seeker. Yeah. Our story we listen to is we're looking for something, but mostly it's more about what's looking. Yeah. So when you're searching to become a knower of God, most of the time you're the knower of God. Very rarely is it God. It's you, mostly is the emphasis, yeah, in this pursuit of God. So this, I think, if you can see this, you did not think the body was Uncle Fred without the existence there. The existence and the mistake of the mixing of the existence and the thing is what had you believing you're the thing, and that obviously Uncle Fred was the thing. But it's a lot of people have this event when the existence seems to move out of the body. Yeah, you don't want that Uncle Fred hanging around because there's no Uncle Fred. You realize, hey, that wasn't Uncle Fred. Now, I would hope that would lead to you realizing you're not this Paul. Yeah. Just save you a lot of trouble, literally. So, okay. So, following this, he goes to this point. The greatest mystery that there is no greater mystery than this, that being the reality ourselves, that being the reality ourselves, we seek to gain reality. Yeah. So let's call the reality ourselves awareness. Yes. And now we're using awareness to try to find awareness. Isn't that, and that's the best way of hiding the fact that you're awareness, is using awareness to find awareness. So the reality ourselves, we seek to gain reality. Yeah. So we forget that we're reality seemingly, and now many of us are seeking to gain reality. How and why? As reality, through reality, by reality. What else are you using? We think that there is something binding our reality and that it must be destroyed. He's not talking about a personal, he's talking about a basic aspect of the mental logic. This is how the mental logic would see it. If it starts with the idea that it's a thing, yeah, it's going to look from that idea, like the hammer only sees nails. Yeah. So obviously, it doesn't believe its reality and it's looking around to see what it can blame. What's obstructing me from finding reality and everything like that. And if you follow it long enough, it's going to be you. Yeah. So then it's going to have a perfect formula, which is I really want to find reality, but if I have to be destroyed to find reality. Let's slow walk this look for reality. Yeah, it's like cognitive dissonance. It's actually duality, perfectly conflicting. So you want reality, but to gain reality, you must be destroyed. So everyone's trying to figure out how can I have an experience of my own absence with me being there? How can I have an experience as me experiencing the absence of me? It doesn't, it doesn't go, but it doesn't get that. See, the mental logic that most of us have relied on do not get that. Self cannot get out of self. This idea of you cannot get out of the idea of you. How it looks at is if it wants to get out of the idea of you and still be the you that had the idea, yeah? And it doesn't get it. You can preach to it, you can show all the evidence, it will just try another way. Yeah, it will. If it runs into the wall, it will just blame the vehicle and get into another vehicle and then run into the wall and it never seems to learn. I don't believe it has the ability to learn. Yeah, that's what you learn. You learn that which you have been taking yourself to be is never going to learn. It's never going to get it. Yeah. Because all the while it's trying to get it or not get it, it is it. Yeah. Not 1 second has passed in time that it hasn't been what it's looking for. Yeah. So where does the attention go? Does it go to the reality? No, it goes to that which sees itself as reality, which ain't. Yeah. Why would you waste any time when you've just heard something that's told you there's no time to waste? You just see what you're not. And basically, every moment of the day, it's expressing itself to you. Who we have it must happen with many people, but in addicts or alcoholics, sometimes you get a knowledge that doing another drink or doing another shot is no bueno. I mean, you're really feeling drenched that I have been fucked over and over again. And then the head seems like it's convincing, it's trying to convince something. Yeah. It's sort of like the head is talking to an audience in there. You don't know, you're not, this is the problem. We are the audience, let's call it awareness, but it's unsuspected. We're not noticing that. Even though it's something is talking right at us to try to convince us to do something, why not do it itself? If it's me, there you go, take a run. Yeah, but it can't. It has to convince something, yeah, to consent to its little storyline. So this isn't about self being convinced. You're convinced about self. There's something in you gets convinced about self, and what it's convinced of, it ain't you. Yeah. It has no idea what it is, and that's great because uh, it's flying. Why does it want to know why it's flying? It's just flying. Yeah. It's just available at all the times, right where you are, no matter what. Yeah. There's no need to have any questioning and shit like that. The unknown is the glory of it. Yeah. Because your little pea brain can't understand it, can't get it. That's why it says that it's a peace that passeth all understanding. It's basically a peace that passeth our understanding. Because we think peace would have to, somebody, a thing would have to be present to enjoy peace. But it's the absence of the thing or the loss of interest in a thing that is the enjoying of peace. As St. Francis says, it's in self-forgetting that we are reborn. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So we think that there is something binding our reality and that it must be destroyed. It must be destroyed before that reality is gained. Oh, wow. It is ridiculous. A day will dawn when we will ourselves laugh at our own efforts. Yes. That which is on the day of laughter is also now. And then, this is my second part I love the most. It is false to speak of realization. What is there to realize? The real is as it is always. Always seems to be comprehensive in time, yeah? So always means every moment in time, always. Yeah. Yeah, but there's no like exemption clause. It's always, yeah. The real is as it is always. Because it's not of time, then it's always in time. Yeah. How to realize it? What an incredible thing. Could you imagine if you went to something, uh, maybe there would be a pre-retreat that was free before the 10-day retreat, and somebody would sit you and ask you these questions, and maybe you would get enough out of the pre-retreat that you would cancel your application to the retreat. Yeah. Wow. Hey, Bob. So here he goes. How to realize it? How to realize it, Mauro? How to realize it, Brian. How to realize it, Ernie. How to realize it, Alan, John K., Nick, Stephen Mack, Steve, Chris, Paul, Annette, Hiram, Tommy. How to realize it. Someone's going to lay it out. Beautiful. Yeah. Get ready. Gird your loins. Yeah. They're definitely going to be asked a whole lot. Here it comes. All that is required. Okay. Get ready. A lot of requirements. Yes. Get your highlighters. There'll be bigger, very important requirements and then pseudo requirements. Okay. Here it comes. All that is required is this. Susanna, all that is required is this. Kathleen, yeah. All that is required is this. What is this? Let's see it. I lost the gals. They already left. Too bad. We need a drum roll. All right. All that is required is this. We have realized the unreal. You've already fulfilled the requirement. At one moment or many moments during this time, you have realized the unreal. Yeah. You have realized that you were misled. You have realized that something was playing God. You have realized all this is the unreal. You have realized that no matter what happens, every train I've ever been on, when I wake up, I'm always at the station. So maybe I don't take any trips, literally. Maybe there's nowhere I've ever been or I'm going to. Yeah. Maybe every moment of a Titanic day and all the moving of the chairs on the deck, yeah, the deck has never changed. Nothing. It's always that this present moment is always been present in every moment. We're not out of that circle trying to get in. We are the source of that circle right now. We are reality. So we must be the reality that spans every moment in any amount of time, 80 years or 8 billion years. Yes? Every time you come to satsang, maybe a lot of different people, but the same feeling a lot of the time, because it's mimicking the truth of what's the reality, which is it's never came, never went, never moved, never disappeared, just to appear again, then to disappear. No, every moment that you've ever been in has been the exact same moment. Yeah. We've made petitions, the logic says this stopped and that started, but that which never started or stopped, it doesn't notice. It's constantly building parameters and borders on like an etch-a-sketch that gets erased every time you go to sleep at night. Yeah, yeah. When you wake up in the morning, you don't wake up in the morning. You come later, maybe a half a second or 2 seconds or 3 seconds, but you're awake and then, oh, Paul arises. It plays the role of a curtain, really, in a sense. So I'm going to say this again, just for myself. I just love it. Because I was reading a thing on Ramana. It gets a lot, you know. And I feel when you get a lot of material, the head thinks it got something to work with. And when the head starts working on shit, it gives name and form to them. And when name and form is given to something, you lose the spirit of it in a way. Yes? And there you go. This is simple. What can you do with these simple questions? He's just asked like 3 questions. What is there to realize? Nice thing to sit and that which wants to realize is the realization. Don't you see it? It's being used to find itself. Yeah. It's probably going to laugh its non-organic balls off. Yeah. So what is there to realize? The real is as it is always. How to realize it? All that is required is this. We have realized the unreal. That's it. Yeah. Simple. You already have. Why would you want to realize the unreal? You already have already. You've been shown enough. You realize the unreal. Now, is unreal degrees? Is something more unreal than others? Obviously not. If you've listened to the Course of Miracles, they say there is no degrees in miracles, nor is there degrees in illusion. Yeah. And it's either an illusion or a not. Yeah. Yes. So you have seen, I have seen the unreal from the real. Now the head has claimed that Paul saw it, which is the unreal, thinking it's seen the unreal. Yeah. Doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. And then you're going to try to use the absolute. No, you use the relative, and then the absolute becomes obvious. The absolute here, when I was younger, I remember this strongly. We did these talks in AA, and a guy I had met in India years before got in touch with me, and he was on fire with the Course in Miracles, yeah, and he'd given up Sai Baba and everything. So he wanted me to set up a group for him and this lady coming from this Course in Miracle group. So I did. So like we got 20 something people and we had the house. They started the thing and they started with there is no world. They lost everybody. Everyone left at break. Now, and most of the people I never saw again. So I was realizing that ain't a good way to introduce these ideas. Yeah. Just let's say there is a world like Jesus did, you know, you're in a world, but you're not of it. Now that works, yeah, because we all are familiar what it's like to be here. Yeah. Why would you want to say, well, there is no here? Obviously. Just let's look at what's here and see if we find anything. Yeah. And maybe what we're going to find is the unreal. And that's finding the unreal is going to emphasize the real. And the real will be right where we are at all times, with no requirement necessary to meet it. This requirement is you've already seen the unreal from the real. Yeah. Yeah. Your church has been built already. You've got the solid stone. You recognize that which was yapping isn't you. Yeah. Yeah. There's gonna be a loss of interest in it. And that loss of interest in it, you're not even gonna have interest in seeing how better you're getting. You're not. You're gonna lose interest in that too. You're just gonna be here, like fucking completely here in Novato, where we are, completely. You'll just be here all the time, sleeping, awake. Yeah. Yeah. You can easily be convinced. That's not the hard part. The hard part is recognizing the unreal when it says it's the real, because it does a double. It's seen as the unreal, and then it claims to be the seer of the unreal. Yeah. And it's very quick, that move of claiming. If you don't have an understanding of it, it will beat you to a punch. Yes, it will. You will start from there. You will start from that manufactured point. But if you can see or hear this message that the mental process's first reaction to conscious contact is to claim the contact. Yeah. Whatever it is, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, thinking, it will claim to be the seer, the hearer, the feeler, the taster, the toucher, the thinker. Yes? And from that point on, it's going to use the livingness of this event to reinforce the idea that there's a noun living it. That's what it's going to do. It's mechanical, it's not personal, you're not doing it. This is what makes it, this is how it hides. A lot of people don't want to know much more. They've had enough. Yeah. They don't want to, like in AA, no one wants to admit complete defeat. Yeah. It's not so basically people just avoid, deny. Yeah. In the same way here. Yeah. But in this recognition, non-duality, the message will not, it doesn't fit around the person. It just confronts the person. Yes. Not in a terrible drill sergeant way. It just questions, yes, that which is taking itself to be real. And that taking itself to be real is disguising the reality from itself, seemingly. Yeah. So a recognition you're not that sets off a train of circumstances or a chain reaction that will bring you to a point of traveling lighter. And you'll see the magnificence of it because you were so interested in you, you couldn't see that it was the interest in you. Yeah. The interest in you needed to be freed, and the you couldn't do it. That's the failure. That's the great success. Yeah. You recognize you're so full of yourself, you can't, yeah. But that self confronting its fullness is adding more water to the fucking glass. Yeah. So this is a recognition that self, what we're not, can't get out of what we're not. And we realize finally, we're not in something that we're trying to get out of, and we're not out of something that we're trying to get in. Yes? The whole basis shifts to you recognize you can't get out of an imaginary place as an imaginary thing. Yeah. And that your head is constantly trying to get out of what it's not in and into what it's not out of. Yes. That's how it changes everything. It makes the in and out. Yeah. And an out and in. Yeah. So I feel very powerful with satsang. I feel this is more than enough. Yeah. Just to have just a simple basic understanding, have it repeated. Yes. And just whatever the shenanigans are happening on the surface, it's going to be the depth that's going to produce the biggest effect. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyone? I was going to get into something, but if we got into this, you may become a monk, you know? So, really. And there's nothing wrong with being a monk, you know, but uh, yeah. I think it's just a simple. See, do you actually believe? Probably not that you've seen the unreal, but you have. Yeah. That which you're trying to learn is a knowing already. There's a knowing before knowledge. The knowledge is just reinforcing the aha. The aha didn't come from the knowledge. It came from knowing. You are that. You are that which you're looking for. Yeah. Yeah. And the faith that was given to what you're not will now be given to what you are. And what a match made in heaven. Faith in actually what you are is incredibly powerful. That's what Jesus says, the faith the size of a mustard seed can move a mountain. Yes? Yeah. It's so, and a faith in this message, you'll lose interest in moving any mountains. Yeah, you'll be okay with where the mountains are and what's going on. I want to go to that thing with the Zen thing with first there is the mountain. I hope you get it. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It shows the mental logic and how failed it is. So I think someone cut the first stanza out of the statement, but there was an old Zen statement I used to hear, which was, it was, first there is a mountain, then there is no mountain, and then there's the mountain again. Yes? So the way I see it is, all right, something is blocking us off from something, and that's the mountain. Yeah. And then we try a lot of stuff so that the mountain disappears. Yeah, but only in time it's going to appear again. Yeah. So first there is the mountains. Now this view is first there is no mountain. So we're not putting a stanza after it. We're putting like a preamble before, which is there's no mountain. Okay. And now then there is a mountain, then there's no mountain, and then there's a mountain again. Yeah. Now, when you believing the mountain needs to be removed for you to find reality, you're going to be super stoked when you have that momentary relief of there is no mountain, but it's going to come back again. The mountain is going to reappear. But what would happen if you knew inside of you that there is no mountain? Would that reappearance of the mountain have much effect on you? No, because you didn't start with there is a mountain. You started at there is no mountain. Yes, this is what we're humbly attempting to do here. We're not starting at there is a mountain and what are you going to do about it? And here's one way I can get you over the hill before ba 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 ba. But really, first there is no mountain. Yeah, there you go. So when the mountain appears again, it's just an appearance of what it was, it's just a reappearance. Like everything else comes up, disappears, reappears, disappears, reappears. Yeah. Yeah. But there's no mountain. Yeah. I mean, faith, I feel, is the force of this whole place. It's neutral, but coming here in this event, it manifests in the vehicles put in. So if there's great faith in the head, yes, you're going to live in a world of what's not happening, obviously. Yeah. If that faith is retrieved from the head or drawn out of the head by seeing you're not the head, I feel that faith is going to enrich your day. Yeah. It's the same faith, but what vehicle it's put in. Yeah. Just tell the truth about the vehicle it's put in. And that's the beginning of something shifting. Yes. Yeah. All right.
David, down under.
David down under.
Hi everyone. G'day, Paul.
Hey, Dave.
I totally love that one, the mountain one. It's like I always say to you how I call it little penny drops for me. You know, different things you say. Sometimes it makes no sense to me, and then other ones really do. Like, and to me, why the mountain one makes sense to me, and I've crapped on about this before, but I've got grandkids. One of my daughters has got 4 kids, and I get to go there pretty regularly. And the younger they are, there's no mountain. Like in the youngest one, he's not even 3 yet. There's no mountain at all. You know, he's still like this. It's all no mountain. And then as they get, they're all spaced 3 years apart. So nearly 3, nearly 6, nearly 9, and nearly 12. And my granddaughter's the oldest one, and she seems to have a lot of mountains now. You know, even at 12 years old. And as they come down in age, 9 and 6, the 9-year-old's got a few less mountains, but there's some starting to appear. And the 6-year-old, he's just starting to get some, and it's so that one's a really lovely one for me. And the other one that you do that's lovely, that seems lovely for me, is when you call it the game of ping pong, like the subject object is the game of, for whatever reason, for me, just you putting it that way allows me to see the game of ping pong and not be playing the game of ping pong.
Yes.
And just the last one was, I think, maybe a couple of years ago. I've still got it written on my wall here for some reason. When you said like whoever said that whatever can be perceived is not that which is perceiving,
Yes.
because I took that as right. I can perceive everything around me and everyone, and lo and behold, I can go like this and perceive this. So that one, yeah. So it's like all the different ways you put it, I suppose. Little different ones sink into someone, whereas they won't sink into someone else. Yeah. Anyway,
Yes.
that's it. Yeah.
You know, the thing with the ping pong, now, it would be interesting. Let's say there was a TV crew there, yes, with a big camera. And obviously, the camera would be on the ping pong game. But maybe one day they would just put it on one of the audience, yeah, which
Yeah.
would be more truthful. The audience that's watching the ping pong game, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is sort of like this message. So before, your attention was just on the ping pong game. Now the attention is on that which is attending the ping pong game. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the change of emphasis changes everything. Yeah. So the whole thing isn't all about the ping pong game of Paul the object, Paul the subject, Paul the object, Paul the subject. Yes, the camera has moved back and still sees the ping pong table and everything, but sees something else much larger. Yeah. And yeah. So you can assume this is the audience, though you never see the audience. But now the audience is us, what we are, watching the ping pong game. Yeah. Before, the attention interest was zeroed in on the ping pong game and not seeing much else. Now, loss of interest, the camera that had this program to watch the ping pong game has gone rogue, and now it's opening up, and it sees the ping pong game, but it's the ball's gotten much smaller, much it's less and less important. And what gets more and more important? The seeing, not what you're seeing, but the seeing itself. Yeah. Not what you're hearing, but the hearing itself. What not you're feeling, but the feeling itself. Yeah. And it's almost like a butterfly found a home finally in the garden. So it was flying from one ping pong game to another ping pong game, and now it's landed on something. It still sees the ping pong games, but it's not that engaged, and it's resting there. Yeah. It couldn't find rest in the ping pong games. It was flirting around, but then it lands somewhere, and now it's finding rest. Even though the ping pong games are going on, there's a whole lot more going on than just the ping pong games. Yeah. That's sort of what it's like, I feel. I hope this one becomes a favorite, David. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
It's
you
funny.
see,
It just,
you go to a TV channel, let's say K Paul, and then obviously there's a big event, but the camera's lingering on Paul all day. So you get a 24/7 channel of Paul at the ping pong game, of Paul at this. And no one else would be interested in subscribing to this channel unless they had a resentment towards Paul or something. But Paul is paying that subscription every day, every year. Yeah. And this is the funny thing about it. What happens is there's the ping pong game. Paul is there talking about the ping pong game. And then you see Paul and the ping pong game. Yeah, this is the double move. Not only do you see the ping pong game, you see Paul critiquing and talking about the ping pong game. And you see a whole lot of space here and here around Paul. It doesn't come to a of Paul. You've moved past Paul, and now you're seeing like you used to see the ping pong. So now the duality of the ping pong, which was clothed in a mystery of the singularity of the observer, is seen. Yeah, both they're all caught. They're all caught and seen before the camera. And then you get a sense of what's behind the camera. and you get a very clear sense of what's before the camera stays before the camera. That which is before the camera is not behind the camera. Yeah, but seemingly while you are is, yeah, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, so
Just quickly, it's funny how you said it that way, Paul, because about a year ago, I drew two cameras on my back door glass window. I've still got them there, a little one and a big one looking through it. And then maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, I don't know, I got up in the morning, walked out in the kitchen and looked at it. And and all I looked at was the space behind the first camera.
yeah,
So I was looking at both cameras.
yeah,
Whereas before, I just used to look at the big camera. Yeah,
yes,
I think that's exactly what you just said. Yeah.
yes. In other words, by the interest and attention moving, you'll realize you've been placed somewhere else. Yes, because when the interest and attention is moved, you're moved. Yeah, you're not in the same location that you always were.
Yeah.
Yeah, the interest and attention moving informs that you've moved off of that manufactured point. Yeah. Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
like you're still in the manufactured point and your interest tension is made a weird, like the way the shot that killed John Kennedy, it went back and hit him, It's not, it's like the interest and attention is moved and you are in space. Yes. You've left a manufactured point.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, the camera has been moved. It's good, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
You aren't staying, you're not, this thing is not fixed. The action figure can be moved constantly. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it's cool, bro. Nice to see you. Anyone else?
Thanks, Paul.
Gary C.
Gary C. from Placerville.
From Placerville, more or less, a little south of Placerville. Hi, Paul.
Now he's in Placerville. Peace. Yes. All right.
Placerville. I thought of a title for at least the first part of this talk. If it was a chapter in a book, it would be How to Make Something Out of Nothing, especially the presupposing part.
Yes.
If you want to make something real that isn't, here's the formula.
That's right. Exactly. See, if something can exist, the only thing they can do is it did exist. Yeah. So basically, we feel like a historical self, which leads us only one possibility, trying to get out of it, when the real fact is you're not in it. That's pretty, yeah.
You can almost hear the latch slipping closed as that happens.
Yeah, so yeah, it doesn't take much. I mean, the floodgates start with one little thumb coming out of the dike.
So
Yeah,
that must mean it doesn't take much to unlock the door either,
no,
to see through that mechanism. That's the beauty of what you're saying. You're seeing through that mechanism, you're unlocking the gate. You're
well,
opening the door.
it's a gateless gate. So you realized what you thought the door's role was to unlock or lock. You see there ain't no door. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't make you, for me, it doesn't make me move. I'm just completely here. Yeah. I'm surprised because most of the time I felt like I was living life like I was in a bus stop and I couldn't wait for the fucking bus to come. Yeah. Yeah, it's a trip, but the feeling of completely being here, if it was a drug, I would have probably become addicted to it. Yeah, I would have paid a lot of money. it's hard to get it across completely in Novato, where we are, just completely. Yeah. My head was always, see, this was the trip in recovery. Sometimes there's a big event, which is called the bottom. Yeah. Where you've been living in let's say a spiritless servility for quite a while, and you've adapted and you're just making do. And a bottom is when you move away from it, really. And so you get something happens and you get struck sober. And sometimes before the struck sober, the bottom closes in on you and it captures the thing that would observe that you're in a bottom. Yeah. A lot of the times I went into a hellish condition, there was still an observer that sort of stepped out of it and was looking at it. Yeah. The bottom for me is when that got caught and it got enclosed in the box. Yeah. So that observer that when I got run over was like in the corner of the ceiling and the wall, critiquing what the fuck I did. It seemed to escape everything that ever happened to me to critique it and shit. This one point, it got complete. It didn't. It got caught in the box of
Yeah.
being convinced I was fucked and I was not managerial quality. It didn't escape that. The box was quicker and it caught it. Yeah. I think that was why things really changed. Yes, because that part of the problem it's like you caught a fish, but not the head of the fish. Yeah. You always caught like the tail and something seems to escape. This time, nothing escaped. Yeah. All that I thought I was got caught in this fundamental whack of you're fucked and you're not managerial quality. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Hallelujah.
yeah. Yes. Because a lot of times, all you need is one recognition. You may get repeats, but the one aha is like the eternal knowing, really. It seems to be swallowed up by mental time, but in fact, it's a standalone moment, aha, when you know something that's already is knowing. Yes, it's there's no way to put out that fire. I don't care how much time passes and stuff. Yeah. So,
Well, thanks for keeping the sparks coming so the fire can.
yeah, I don't know what else to do really at this point. I don't, I swear. I mean, I had nothing to say tonight completely. I was sort of like, yeah. But it's not what you think. It's just we're seeing super clearly, but the lens we're looking through makes blue look red, green look yellow. And so it's just again, you don't need no new eyes. The eyes see, it's what you're looking through. Yeah. If that's getting emphasized more than the seeing, and it is defined and small and myopic, well, that's what it's going to look like. Yeah. Even though the eyes could see a whole lot more, seeing through that lens, it can't. So this is about questioning that lens. Instead of looking at everything through that lens, look at the lens. Yeah. Yeah. And then that's looking at the lens may trigger a possibility. Hey, I can be free from it. I don't have to look this way. Yes. Wow. And so it will be. Really. So it will be. If there's recognition, you're going to see things in a different light, let's say. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome, Placerville, Gary.
How about Steve?
How about Steve? Steve, how about?
How
Steve?
about Steve?
Hey, Paul. Very, very good talk tonight. I don't really actually have much to say except for just maybe a couple comments. One thing I'd like to say is I really like your analogies. For some reason, I mean, you say many of these things over and over again, but today it really hit and just kind of blew the floor out from underneath me. So it's one of those days where that really just kind of happens. So
Great.
yeah, I oscillate between, presence and non-presence sometimes, and I
You
think
don't.
I don't exactly, but
The head does, but you don't.
yeah, it's really hard to put words sometimes to these things because there really is not many words that can explain it,
I know. Yes.
But I appreciate how you do your analogies and your simple analogies really sometimes just really hit home. And today's one of those days where you don't know whether if you want to start laughing or crying or just kind of lose your shit and walk out. But it was good. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Steve, and I appreciate you. And the only reason why I say something is we're at a Zoom tonight doing it. So I'll point things out that if we were hanging out, I wouldn't point out. But it can be useful to see how easy it assumes or just suggests that we're going in and out of something we can't go in and out of. Yeah, it's sort of like, I remember when I was young and the computers were happening and there was this incredible robbery where they just took a quarter of a penny out of every transaction. Yeah. So you would imagine it was so tiny, it wouldn't matter, but there was billions of transactions. So it was actually a whole lot of money. It was just a tiny little bit. Oh, fuck it. Yeah. But yes. Yeah. So this is sort of what the head does with the language. It's constantly presupposing by the way it speaks, yeah, that there's a you that's going in and out of things, and there's a you that's wants to stabilize in the in, but keeps getting drawn out by the out. And yeah, and these are descriptions of its condition, but they're not describing our condition, literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is it, and if you believe your condition, it's going to end when the existent leaves the body. Yeah. So your condition, it's like that old song, I, my condition just checked in to see what condition the condition is in. The one who's checking in is a condition. Seeing what condition the condition is in. So by it coming in, looking at the other conditions, there's a subtle assumption it's not a condition. Yeah. Because it's looking, oh, look at this condition, look at it. But it's like the stable, long-lasting condition. It ain't. It's on the same boat, rocking back and forth. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, I have one question for you. So, like when you said the mountain analogy, I don't want to really harp on your experience or anybody else's experience with it, but like when the mountain disappears and you see that disappear and then it reappears, those real, you know, just in my experience alone, I feel like I have a decent amount of non-dual experiences where things will kind of like flutter or like I'll be driving and I feel like my hands have disappeared and stuff like that and kind of reappear. Um, it's just I don't know. It's just so hard to put to words to stuff like that. But and again, that's why I didn't want to harp on that type of experience. But um, when you see the actually, I don't know how to explain it, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Sorry.
well, let me just say see, I'm just looking like at an attitude that would be completely different if the mountain starts as first there is a mountain and then first there isn't a mountain. Yeah.
Right.
So the attitude that would be in the rest of the event is completely different based on that first understanding. And this is what I feel non-duality is like, yeah?
Yeah.
It's fundamentally the first understanding that what's not true is not true. So when it appears to be true, it's not true. When it disappears to be true, it's not true. Yeah? Or it's true and I've got to make it disappear. That's completely different to me. Yeah. And that's why it has an emphasis to me that makes complete non-duality logic against a mental logic, which is the thing I see is the real thing. Yeah. Well, in this case, the thing I see is the unreal thing. Yeah. So I see the mountain and it's first there is no mountain. Yeah. And that allows a traveling lighter through the event of things appearing and disappearing and conditions appearing and disappearing. Yeah. So you feel really good and then it disappears and then you want it to appear and on and on. It goes on and on. Yeah. But how you're going to travel through that isn't based on that. It's based on what point do you start from? Is there a mountain or isn't there a mountain? You know, if you start at there isn't a mountain, I think you travel lighter through the appearances and disappearances of mountains. I do. If you believe there's a mountain and it's hard to move, that mountain is going to have a huge effect on you. Yes, because you gave it a meaning that it doesn't have. You gave it a meaning of being real, and only reality can give meanings to things to be real. When false evidence appears real, a statement we use as an acronym of fear, FEAR, false evidence appearing real, it has to be appearing real to what's real, us. For false evidence to appear real, it has to appear real to us. It's false evidence. It can't change that. But we can see it as if it's true, or we can see it as false, even though it's false, period. But the seemingly so-ness of dreaming is just that. Reality is seemingly taking something that isn't so to be so, yes, and taking something that's so not to be so. It's all an appearance. So people here, they want to become awake. I believe we're always awake. I think awakeness is the baseline. And in this dreaming, you can seem to be awake to that, which means it's appearing to be true to you that you're awake, or you can seem to be asleep to that, which it's appearing not to be true that you're awake, but you're awake, period. Yeah, do you see?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Without a doubt. Yeah.
yes, so the fact overrides the seemingly so. When we're living in a seemingly so world and taking it to be real, that's not the case. The fact is overwhelmed by the seemingly so. So false evidence can have more influence than a fact. Yeah. Yeah. And the power of mind here in the dreaming, just look at placebos. Yeah. They're nothing and they produce the same effect as the $300 pill does. Because it's the mind before everything, the big M mind. Reality is giving meaning to things. Yeah. It's given meaning to this being real. And this now through this gives meaning to everything else being real. So when I saw Uncle Fred's body and I realized that wasn't Uncle Fred, it didn't change the fact that I thought the body was Paul. Yeah. That's like a stubborn, seemingly so. Yeah. I mean, the evidence was like a flash flood to a 9-year-old. It just hit me like with no time at all. And yet I had a waterproof idea. Yeah. I could see it applied to that body, but I didn't see it was applying to this body at all. Yeah. That's not a phenomena. That's like a manufactured blindness. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, first there is no mountain. You know, you're in this world, but you're not of this world. Fucking great. Yes? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this world, there's in and out, but the real is the of. Yeah. And this is what non-duality gives. Non-duality does not give you a new out or a new in to get into. It says, right? It negates the whole idea. Yeah. Of the in and out. Yeah. Yeah. Because the of is in the in and it's in the out. The of. The of is overrides the in and overrides the outs. Yes. So the of can can seem to appear to be in and can seem to appear to be out, but it doesn't lose any of its ofness at all. No matter how many times you give it the in and out routine, the ofness is the ofness. Yes. So first, you're in this world. What does that mean? Well, it seems like there's time, there's things, there's bodies, da 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 da, all this. A lot of conditions arise and go. Some come that I don't want, some leave that I want, all this and all that constantly going on. People can affect me greatly, this and that, that and this, and you're not of it. Oh, fucking great. Yeah. So does the one that thinks it's in it gonna get that relief? No, you're gonna be relieved of that thing that thinks it's in it. The thing that thinks it's in it is caught in the in and out. You're not saving that. You're fucking recognizing it. Yeah. You're of the of, it ain't. Yeah. And therefore the drama of in and out gets dismissed quite a lot. Yes, because the overriding ofness outshines the circumstances and situations of in and out. Yes. If you don't act out and you huff and puff, you always realize you never left the station. Yeah. The station of, and the trains are the in and out. Yeah. Yeah. So I believe there's a built-in faith in that. Yeah, I do. Yeah. So, and we can tickle it with satsang. Yeah. That's all. Just tickling it with satsang. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. I'm really happy you've shown up, and you're as much help to me as I may be to you. So it's all cool.
Yeah, you express so well, man. It's just so phenomenal. I just love your analogies, and I love how simple how simple you keep it. You know, there's so many people out there that will just go tell you 10,000 different ways, 10,000 different ways, a myriad of different things, and you're just chasing, 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 and you never just get it. But if you just sit back and let it smack the shit out of you, then you got it. I think, you know.
Yes, yes. Well, yes. Simplicity is easily shared.
Yeah.
Complexity you could get lost in. You can. That's why when I was first doing this stuff, people wanted me to do the Course in Miracles, and I just thought it was too much of a slog.
Yeah.
It had a lot of words in there. And I rather just get a distilled idea that can trigger a traveling lighter, and light begets light, I feel. Yeah. So you don't have to do much. You just have to trigger the light and it begets more light. Yeah. And I feel I'm just sharing how it worked with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Worked with me is just, I came to some great conclusions sitting on my ass at satsangs. I do. Just sat there and I realized, wow, it's the futility of it all. And a hallelujah erupted. So yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes.
Paul?
So yeah.
John K had his hand up. We want to check in.
John K, where were you when I needed you in the beginning of the meeting, John? All right. It's okay.
Sorry, Paul, I didn't know which batter you were floating over this meeting. I I don't know. I'm intrigued with this mountain no mountain business, and it made me think of digging a hole. If I dig a hole, I'm not really digging a hole. I'm just removing the earth from a hole that was already there.
There you go. Yeah, you could see it that way. But I'd rather have someone else do that.
But if I'm seeing a mountain, I'm seeing a mountain from a hole where a mountain used to be. I'm looking at the pile of dirt. Then there isn't no mountain when I realize that um, everything is just an empty space, really. And, the mountain is just dirt that was occupying a space. And then there is a mountain again because I realize, oh, well, there's terrain. So this whole mountain, no mountain, mountain isn't that just kind of like a koan for the progression of understanding?
Well, it can be, well, if for one person it is. The way that we're saying it is basically a starting point. So let's say the starting point is a you and a no you. Yeah. So starting as a you, sooner or later, if he's looking around a lot, he's going to find a methodology of a no you, and it'll be a you trying to be a no you. I much rather start with the know you, and then you'll watch that you do that. So to me, the way I get it is that first there is no mountain means the reactions to the appearance of a mountain and the disappearance of the mountain will be changed. Yes. And you'll travel lighter with the occupying of a mountain or in the absence of the mountain. Yes, just like the lady with the famous story with the necklace, and she has this beautiful necklace, and she gives it a lot of credit for a lot of things, and she thinks it has a lot to do with her being happy, and then she quote unquote loses the necklace. This famous Indian thing, and now she's bummed out. Yeah. So before with the necklace, she had great joy and stuff, and she was giving credit to the necklace. And then when she lost the necklace, she was super bummed out. Yeah. And she didn't seem to come out of it until she could find the necklace, and she wasn't finding the necklace. So she was now destined to be bummed out because that which was bringing her the joy has left. So now it's bringing the absence of joy. Yeah. So she keeps complaining to her friends, and I added this stuff to it. So, and then they start looking for the necklace, try to help her find the necklace. And they hear about a guy in the north that says he knows how to find a necklace. So they go to see him, and he has a lot of ways of looking for the necklace. And some of them seem like a good idea, but they haven't found the necklace yet. So yeah, she's really bummed out. And then some guy walks around, sees her, and says, "Oh, I hear you have this big problem." And she says, "Oh, yes, I've lost the necklace and my life has gone really downhill and everything." She says, "Hey, listen, just feel your neck." She felt the neck, which she never did, and there was the necklace. So the necklace has always been there. And this is the trip, because this is the dreaming aspect that I like about this parable, because she associated the joy she was having based on the necklace. And then she also associated the loneliness and the depression that she had when she thought the necklace was lost, but it had never been lost. So what made up that? What made up the joy and what made up the depression? It wasn't the necklace, eh? Yeah. To me, that's the value of it. That's the value of dreaming. People are manufacturing a state and having a cause and effect story. That's not true. Yes. They're giving it all the meaning it has. That lady gave all the meaning the necklace had. The necklace didn't give her any fucking meaning. She gave it all the meanings it had. Yes? So this is the thing. If you're going to give everything all the meaning it has, start with there is no mountain. And then when you give a meaning and there's a mountain, you'll have that sense that there is no mountain. Yes. And that's what instead of looking for it and seeking it based on there's a mountain, I'm seeking for no mountain, you will not be moved to seek for no mountain because you realize there is no mountain. Yes, I think that encapsulates a whole lot right there. Yeah, and this is what I'm usually looking for when we're sharing. I'm looking for a certain movement that can tell you how one thing moves and how something that still doesn't move that one way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Anyone else? Or we're gonna start saying goodbye.
Ernie.
Ernie, all right. Come on, Ernie. Come on.
Hi, Paul. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the sharing of that necklace, Paul. You said about like we feel that the necklace is never lost. It's like an illusion that you think it lost. So I feel like it's the same thing as I'm waking up and I have this single idea of having a body, and I think that's kind of an illusion to me because, of course, when you have a body, everything just goes on with that, like the relationship issues, problem, because you have a body, God or whatever. So there's definitely I think the whole thing comes down to the identification with the body. And
Yes.
yeah, because if you do the body, like that's what they say, whatever the monkey do, it's still a monkey. So I think, yeah, so I think
Well, Ernie, there's going to be identification as the body. The great news, it's not you doing that. Yes? The system identifies the system as a body.
Yes. The thing is, the way, yeah, understand. Because the thing, when I do that, I saw it from the perspective, from the vantage point of the body. So I'm seeing from it. But
Yes.
when there's thing that there's a stop, like whatever the monkey does, it's still a monkey. And then there's just a few full stop and silence, then there's an action that is not coming from me that, well, I don't know, it's like doing, not doing or something.
Doing, not doing. Yes. Go with that, bro. Yeah. See where that takes you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah. See, it's almost like a taste that leads to another taste. Yeah. Sometimes one taste has 5 different tastes in there, some tart, some sweet, and like that. The meal's not over. Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, a sense of individuality does not imply there's an individual. That's what the head does. It says definitely a sense of individuality implies there's an individual. How could there be a sense of individuality if there was an individual? This is the failed logic of the head. Yes. Yes, the sense of individuality is manufactured. Yeah, there's no individual. But we take the sense of individuality and then we presuppose ourselves to be an individual, you see? This is what the head does, and it uses our power to do it. That which is unreal is using reality to make it seem real. Yes. Yeah. So if you can step back, not once, but twice, you'll see the act of claiming, you'll see that the natural observing is claimed and now you're the observer of it, and you'll see this stuff. And that the seeing of that is more than enough. That triggers everything else. Yes. Yeah. Because you'll realize how much personalness is given to a mechanical activity. Yeah, it's like a syrup that was poured over a machine, so to speak. Yes. This is like in Buddhism, they call it the cherishing of self. Yeah. Yeah. So this stuff becomes really intimate with you. Yeah. Beyond reading and stuff, it becomes intimate with you. Yeah. 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 You heard the avalanche, you saw the snow, you felt it overcome you. Yeah. That's profoundly solid. Yeah. And then things get built on that. Yeah. All right. Anyone else? We got
Annette.
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 I'll make it quick, Michael. So something that's always come around, not always, but recently or whatever, more recently when I hear this analogy is, making mountains out of molehills, which I've heard all over my life. It seems so over and over and over again, as a criticism and that I'm too sensitive, etc. But I wasn't buying into it, and that's why I just really never ever even brought it up. And now, seemingly, just I feel like in the last share or something, all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's I lost it, but it's when it's the me. It's so there's happenings, but then when I identify like they're happening to me and they're personalized, then that's when they're mountains. So there's happenings, which is, hey, there's happenings happening all the time, little molehills, life is happenings, there's verbing. And then, and then when I make it personal to me, it's like, oh, it's a mountain, whether it's a great mountain or a shitty mountain,
Yes. But remember, honey, I know you know this, but it's just a language, but you don't make it personal to you.
Right. Yeah.
It presents it to be personal.
Yeah.
You
That's
don't,
what is shifting here, I feel like.
yes, you don't make it personal. You're like an audience that's being played to. You don't have a real line in the whole play. You're just there either manufacturing consent or like this. Yes, not like who, just, a recognition of what's
Mhm.
going on. Because false evidence that appears real had to appear real to something that's real.
Right.
False evidence doesn't have an ability to appear real. It's given that ability by the one who's observing it, yes, or noticing it. Yes. So you and I give everything all the meaning it has. You and I give everything. That's a pretty comprehensive statement. All is a comprehensive statement. So you and I give everything all the meaning it has. Yeah. You and I, the only way that's happening is not through you and I, it's through that we're reality. Yeah. And we're giving things a meaning of being real. And therefore it's reality dreaming, basically. Yes. There's nothing right or wrong with it, but it'd be good to know. Because if you're seeing it as the dreamt, you're going to see it much different than if you're seeing it as the dreaming. Just like first there is no mountain and then there is a mountain. Seeing it from the dreamt is quite different than seeing it from the dreaming. Hugely different. Yeah. Now, the seeing it from the dreamt is manufactured, mechanical. You have the ability to see it from the dreaming. Yeah. The system will see it from the dreamt. Like the Course in Miracles says, the brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. That's what it does. Yeah. So this has become the interpreter of a life. There's a reliance on it. It sees life through a view of a body. Yeah, there you go. I mean, you don't have to, it's not bad or good about it, just the way it is. Yeah, so if it lands, man, great. Yeah. If not, come back. We'll just keep saying it in thousands of ways. Yeah.
Thank you.
Annette, yes, Annette. You remember the mountain molehills things. This is the owning of these things made a you, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. Because there's a great guilt if you made mountains out of molehills. Yeah. But you didn't, thank God. Yeah. Yeah. You're like well, whatever, I think it means the atonement in the Course of Miracles is like nothing ever happened that needs to be forgiven or something. So that's in a sense what happens here. When all said and done, nothing ever really happened. Yeah. So that means I'm gonna leave the Zoom soon. Yeah. Anyone else?
Thank you, Paul. That's all. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I just had, wait, look at
Oh, look at those beautiful people.
yeah, see, all right, yeah, there you go. We have a lovely dinner coming. Amelia's over there, and this is our 3rd year of Zen bitch slap or whatever. And yeah. Hey, all right. So let me.
Is that a congratulations or
I don't know. Just an acknowledgement. Yes.
What do we say when somebody's 3 years?
Well, she's a junior now. She'll be a senior next year. She'll graduate Zen Bitch Slap High School. There's no prom. No prom in Zen Bitch Slap High School.
It's only the beginning of the next 3 years.
That's right. Annette, nice to see you, honey. David, our man down under. Kathleen, as always. Say hello to Charlie for us, Kathleen. Stephen Mack, Chris H, Steve, John K,